Hello once again, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to another edition of AIW's The Card is Going to Change. Before we get into this week's episode, a shout out to our sponsors helping us bring the show to you for free on whichever podcast platform you choose to listen. Hey, thanks to our brand new pizza sponsor, Great and Road Tavern. They provided us with pizzas on both Thursday and Friday last week. And our return to the Odeon, it was fantastic, and then we got to go hang out there both nights. Nice, awesome places. They also have an affiliate, Legends, I believe, in North Olmsted.
No, Legends is in Parma, the old
Parma.
Fox and Hound.
That's right, Legends in Parma.
Next to my old apartment.
The old studio apartment, as Chandler used to call it.
Correct. And for everybody that is local to Cleveland, Great and Road Tavern, you would know, rose to quite a bit of notoriety like 2 years ago for getting this Queen of Hearts game jackpot up to like multiple millions of dollars. They're doing that again. The jackpot is up to $1,564,400, and the next drawing will be May 12th, 2021. You can find more information at greatonroadtavern.com.
There you go. Thanks, of course, to Pollyanna DIY, who will always just keep going. Shout out to Thrift Store Jobber, Voodoo Monkey Tattoo, and who was it? Is it Kayfabe Collectibles that was there?
Kayfabe Collectibles, yeah. They decided to give it a shot and vend, and I guess they did very well because they want to come back. So shout out to pretty much everybody in the AW crowd. They must have sold quite a bit of money, but Joey Shoots on Twitter, he kind of like uprooted his entire life and like quit his job and bought an RV and is just like flipping collectibles, at shows, online, wherever he can get space, and he's turning it into his way to make a living. I believe just him and his wife just are total nomads in an RV with a bunch of wrestling memorabilia, and they just go wherever they can set up. And he's been an AIW supporter for years. He's come out to shows as a fan. So when he reached out, we were happy to work something out so he can have some space at both the nights. And apparently you guys are buying some stuff, so he wants to come back and get some more vendor space again in the future, which it helps us out a little bit. Apparently it helped him out quite a bit, so it is a good little relationship there. So shout out to you guys for coming and spending some money.
There you go, and also in terms of collectibles, I can almost talk. Time Capsule Toys, give them a shout out. They're a great sponsor of AIW's Go for Broke on IWTV. And
yes, great sponsor. They also promote the Toy Hio events twice a year. I believe they do them now. The next one will be June 19th in Girard, Ohio. It's only $5 to get in, which is crazy. And they let us set up with the table there, and it's like going to a museum. Like, it's so weird. I was never really a toy person or collectible person. I inherited all this stuff from Chandler when he passed away, and during COVID they did one of their conventions, and literally since there was nothing to do, I just went out to it, and I was like, this is a super cool thing. It's like going to a museum for the day or something. Like, it's like all this stuff from like our childhood that you haven't seen since you were like 8 years old. I don't know. It's like it's very interesting to just like you could just walk around and look at stuff. Like, it's seriously like I don't buy anything. It's just like going to a museum. So long time supporter of AIW, Tom Troll was the founder of that, and he passed away a few months ago. But it's a pretty cool thing, and all the major wrestling figure podcast guys are going to be appearing there on June the 19th at the Toy Hio convention. So if you get shut out from the AIW show on June 18th, which I have a feeling a lot of you are going to get shut out because we're only doing 100 tickets again, you will be able to go out to Toy Ohio in Girard, Ohio on Saturday. I believe doors open at 9 a.m. and tickets are only $5 to get in there.
Wow, that's real cool. And then, of course, thanks to IWTV and Smart Mark Video, the merger of the two has made it easier than it's ever been before to watch AIW. You can go to smartmarkvideo.com and you can purchase DVDs and MP4 digital downloads of everything that's ever been recorded of AIW. Or you can also sign up using the code ABSOLUTE. That helps us out. They'll know that it's AIW that sent you at independentwrestling.tv, or download the IWTV app. And $9.99 a month, $10, you get to watch not only a revolving archive of AIW shows, including our live streams, like just what just happened on Thursday and Friday, which are, oh, by the way, now available on demand on IWTV. But you can also watch all sorts of other promotions. Yeah.
Let's get those numbers up on these shows. You know, like Go for Broke has been doing okay on the service. You know, it's not a overwhelming hit by any means, I'll say that, but it's been doing well. But these shows, for what we put on them, and we'll get into that a little bit today on the podcast, these shows need to be watched. We took a huge chance by doing complete mystery lineups both nights, and I got a little bit of, I don't want to say pushback, but a little bit of, you should be advertising this, to try to get more eyes on, on this product and the service. And, the numbers, the live numbers were okay. Again, not overwhelming hit like Go for Broke, but I really think these events could really pick up a ton of steam in the VOD section, because both nights were very good. And even if they don't they kind of suspended the free trial program right now, but you could still sign up and use our promo code ABSOLUTE, and they kind of make a record of that and give us a little bit of a kickback on your subscription. So that's the only way that they know that we sent you there. So it helps kind of our status, so to speak, with them. And, if we continue to bring business their way, they'll continue to allow us to, try things out and do live streams, even though they're not, they didn't really want us to do a complete 2 nights of mystery cards. They did, because, at the end of the day, they do trust us, and we do have quite a bit of our fan base subscribing to the service. But the more we can bring over to that service, kind of the more juice we'll get. I'll say that probably.
Well, there you go, and we'll roll into this week's episode. Of course, it's always AIW owner John Thorne. My name is Steve Guy, your moderator of sorts, and we did have, like John said, two mystery shows on top of this big week for us in terms of IWTV and streaming. Tuesday we had AIW's Go for Broke, the 4th episode to air. And it was a lot of fun. A lot of you said that that's the best episode so far, which is nice, because I feel like that keeps getting said every week, but that means we're doing something well there. And then Thursday we go into Hello Cleveland, and Friday, is this something you might be interested in? But for the purposes of time, we're gonna, I don't know, let's dive into Hello Cleveland a little bit, John, and maybe we can spread this out a little bit and talk about a Friday night next week or something.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's I think if we tried to talk about both nights, we'd probably be here for 4 hours. And to be honest, I am like dead tired. I've been waiting around to record this with you for fucking all day. So that leads me to believe that you are also dead tired.
I'm very tired. I'll be honest with you. If we would have recorded this earlier today, I would not be very good. I only, within the last 2 hours, have gotten this much of a voice back. So it's crazy.
Like, that's the thing, that it's like the back-to-back shows are cool, and they're a lot of fun, but this is the first one in which I had to go to work both days. Like there was a lot, like there was a lot of stuff going on. So, and to start the week off, we'll just go through the week, I guess. Like to start the week off, I talked last week about how I was having complications with that surgery. Mm-hmm. So Monday, I went to my appointment, and they're like, "Oh, this doesn't look right," and it's incredibly painful, and they're like giving me all these shots on my back of like lidocaine or something, and they're like trying to push things around and find out what's going on, and it was like it was awful. And then they decide that because wherever this like opening in my body came from had nothing to do with the incision from the surgery, so they have to stitch that shut. And, they say, come back next Monday. So when you're listening to this, I'm back at the doctor's office again. But later on that night, I started, like feeling like this is not right, and it's just like I felt like this, like, wetness or whatever on my shirt. So then, like, I take my shirt off, and it's, like, covered in blood, and, like, my back is just, like, squirting blood at like a crazy, like the stitches have busted open or something, I don't know, and like it is just like a disgusting like fucking fountain of blood. Like no, I don't know. So I have to go to the emergency room because the bleeding is not going to stop. So I'm at the emergency room, like, and they don't believe in pain management at the emergency room. I'll tell you that much. They come down and they're fucking putting their finger in this thing and fucking like it's awful. But basically they like figured out that after my surgery I had just been like bleeding in that area for 2 weeks, and the blood had nowhere to go. So like essentially they say like my body created this hole so the blood can escape. Because wherever they took these cysts out of, there were still like pockets there, and then they were just filling with blood. I know this is like disgusting podcast talk, but so I'm at the emergency room and till like 3:00 in the morning, and they send me on my way with they put silver nitrate in my body. I guess that like stops bleeding. And so that's kind of how the show week starts, and I just feel like there's going to be more complications with this thing as the week goes on. Luckily there weren't, and whatever they did in the emergency room seems to be working. But yeah, it was a rough start to the week. I'll say that.
Yeah, that's I don't know what to really say about it. It's not a good time. I know that much. There was a. I had a conversation with Dom and Pedro specifically, and I was just like, listen, there is an opportunity that I am not going to be at this thing, that either of these shows. I don't know what the fuck is going on. And I was making arrangements to where like, if I didn't have to be there, things could continue to run, but luckily it did not get to that point. But there was I thought, like I'm like I was literally thinking I was going to be 50-50 as as late into the week as Wednesday night. Yeah, that was a thing that you were telling. Maybe it was Dom and I too, or you said that in a different group chat or something too. But we were all kind of wondering that, and then. It was, for me, I guess I'll say, I'm still, editing is an ongoing thing, editing Go for Broke, and so we also had to squeeze in there, as we've talked about many times, you and Wadsworth do commentary in post.
Right.
So we're also figuring that out during the course of the week, when we can do that.
I have to work around his, he has a busy schedule too, so it's just like...
Yeah.
It was like a whirlwind of things to do, for a show week, and and then you got the two days, and then I guess we'll just get right into this. I get a text from Fonzie that's a Wednesday night, that says, "Call me ASAP." And I go, okay. And, everyone wants to know, who didn't come on Thursday. And it was Sabu. I call Fonzie, and he says he talks to Sabu, and Sabu didn't know that his flight was leaving in a few hours because he was coming in on a red eye. And that the Super Genie was sick, and, all this other stuff. So then he says he's going to call him back and call me back in an hour. And he does. And he says, he calls me back, and he says it's not good. He says there's no way that he can come without the Super Genie, which I had to buy the Super Genie a ticket as well. So I'm out 2 plane tickets. I shoot Sabu a text, and, he just says, I can't make it. I'll hit you I'll get you on the next one. And I said, well, there isn't a next one, man. Like, there isn't a next one. There isn't one next month. He's like, just give me a flight credit, and I'll make it up to you. And I was just like, he's like, I really need the money, and I'm just like, if you need the money, you'll get on the plane. Like, and he wasn't saying like, oh, we have COVID or anything. It's just like a very vague, like, she's sick, And I was like, he's like, I can't leave her. I was like, well, you told me I had to buy these 2 plane tickets, and then not only 2 plane tickets, I had to buy 3 nights at the hotel because he was coming in on a red eye. You can't check in, especially during COVID. You can't check in at a hotel now until after 4 p.m. Because all these hotels are like short staffed and everything. So they've even bumped the 3 p.m. back now to 4 p.m. check-ins. And he was going to land at 7 a.m. So I booked him a night Wednesday. I booked him Thursday, and then his flight back home was not until later in the evening on Friday. So I booked him Friday night too, so he wouldn't just be wandering around until his flight. And we just go back and forth, and I just say, I just start kind of like, nah, don't worry about it, man. Like, cause he's like, I'll make it up, and I was just like, no, don't worry about it. And he's like, I need the money. And I was like, don't worry about the money. And he's like, really? Like, I think he thought that, like, no matter what, I would just be like, okay, yeah, please come to another one. And I was just like, nah, man, fuck it. Like, I've lost out on these flights. I've lost out on this hotel. Like, there's no way I'm getting a refund. So, it is what it is. And, like, if you're not going to get on a flight today, like, you're not going to get on. I'm not going to trust you to get on a flight in a month. Like, so, that just is, like, such devastating news, like 24 hours before the show, because the plan was, I wanted to have a few surprises on each night, and we had Shane Douglas, which we'll get into, and I wanted to have Sabu, and we had a few other, like, I don't want to say smaller surprises, but not as big as a Sabu, and then Friday, I knew that we had Kingston and Allison Kay, and it was just like, well, we had somebody else on Friday, but I can't even remember right now.
Tommy.
The Kingston thing was
Tommy Rich.
Oh, Tommy Rich, yeah. Which that's going to be a whole podcast because he was a real fucking gem. But so I wanted to have like a couple like mid-level and big ones on each night, and like I just thought that the idea was going to be, Fonzie with Justice, and then his mystery opponent was going to be Sabu, and then Fonzie was going to be, kind of like when they did like this match, like RVD Sabu, where Fonzie's kind of in the middle and he's helping them both. I just thought it would be an interesting dynamic. And I know that match has happened before. We did the 3-way with PCO at Wrestle Rager, but I just thought the singles not advertised to that, very captive Cleveland audience, like people were just going to be like losing their fucking minds when, Sabu's music hit. And like, I just had this like thing envisioned in my head, and when it didn't happen, I was just like, fuck, like, I was like, so many people are gone now and unavailable and all this other stuff. Like, it used to be so easy.
Also, the other, because we're at the Odeon, we're finishing setup as we're starting to kind of try to go through names. The other side of this is it's now at this point less than 24 hours before the show, and you're limited because it would be awfully tough to get a flight and get somebody there. Also, limited funds. And let me say this too, to back you up a little bit, because there may be some people who are like, well, John, that's not very sensitive to, Super Genie just went through some really traumatic shit here, right? If people don't know, she had a leg amputated, has had all sorts of health problems. And, we are, of course, sensitive to that. But this is where previous interactions with people come into play. If you've listened to this podcast for the longest time, then you'll know that, our initial interaction with Cebu a few years ago for Wrestle Rager wasn't very good. He was pretty cranky and crabby and not, so that's in your mind too.
And I had booked him years before that. I booked him at Absolution 6, I think.
Yeah.
He's always generally a crabby guy, which is, it is what it is. But I have a soft spot for Sabu. And, because I, worshipped that guy when I was a teenager. I thought he was, the coolest fucking wrestler ever. So, I have this soft spot for him. I think he's always going to get a pop no matter what. So, I really thought that was going to be the perfect storm. And my thing was, if there was a possibility, I know Super Genie went through all that stuff, but I don't know why she went through it or what is going on. My thought was, if there's a possibility that she is going to get sick, just don't take bookings, or don't, you know what I mean? Or you go take the booking and then you come back. To me, when he was just you got to book her a flight, I was like, okay, no problem. But you're talking, he's coming from the West Coast, so it's it wasn't like it was $100 flight, know, and they were over $400 each, and I'm like, okay, whatever gets you here, whatever keeps you in a good mood, and I'm not trying to bury Sabu, but kind of I am. I don't know. It was fucked up business, I had booked him on, I had booked him the previous week, so it was very fresh in his mind. It wasn't like he was booked months ago. It was, I decided the Thursday before that the show was missing something on Thursday night, especially when the Kingston thing came through for Friday. Mm-hmm. I thought that we needed an equally, well, nothing was going to be bigger than the Kingston pop. I knew that, but I thought that we needed something equally as memorable for the fans on Thursday night. And, I also was looking at his meet and greet would probably do fairly well. Probably better than, a Shane or a Tommy Rich one. And that's no disrespect to those guys. He's just, Sabu, I think, is more known to, the majority of our fans over those guys. So, I was looking at all these different angles, and I was pissed, I'm not gonna lie, I was a fucking dick to him, because I had just had enough. And, it doesn't mean I don't have sympathy for whatever Super Genie's going through. It's just, when we make a business deal and I come through on my end, I expect the other person to come through. And, I just can't just be like, oh, hey, okay, cool. I'll just add this show just for you. And then what happens if I advertise him and then he does it again? That's my thought. That's where I was just like, okay, it's done. I'm just going to look at that money like it's been lit on fire, because it's not like we can sell any more tickets,
Right.
So, I mean, it was what it was, but that pissed me off to no end. And I tried a few people, or we did some brainstorming sessions, which then become equally annoying because sometimes people are throwing some real off the wall shit, and I am not in the mood for it. And I'm not talking about Wes Barkley. I'm not, but a lot of people pitch a lot of off the wall shit. So
not Wes Barkley, huh? That doesn't. Yeah. that says it without saying it. But
there were multiple people coming knocking on the office door saying, "Hey, I got an idea." once the Sabu news kind of broke within the inner circle of AIW. And it's just like nothing is like exciting me. So I don't know. It turns into like a whole thing. And you got a little bit of an echo going, Steve. I don't know. When I talk, I get a little bit of an echo back. But
maybe my headphones are too loud. It's going into the mic. There we go.
So that's Steve's fault if this sounds fucked up. But yeah. So I just go to sleep because I'm just like, I don't fucking know what to do. And I woke up and I was just like, it's like the day of the show now, and I definitely have to rebook the show. I have no idea what I'm going to move around. And then I texted Tim Donst and I just said, hey, can you make Cleveland by 6 o'clock? And he just says, no, I don't have my gear. And I was like, oh, okay. And then he goes, did you know I was in Pittsburgh? And I said, no, I did not, which is 2 hours away. He's typically like 6 or 7 hours away.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, let me ask my buddy I'm in Pittsburgh with, yada, yada, yada. And he's like, you need to find me like size 12 boots if you can. Like, it's something to wear if I can do it. And then finally at like noon, he was like, okay, I convinced my buddy that we can come, but I have to go on first because we have to go back to Pittsburgh. So, that was kind of that problem was solved. Like, didn't get solved until like noon on show day. And then I had to move some things around, and it was initially going to be Manders versus Kaplan and Justice versus Sabu. So I decided, like, because Kaplan and Bishop had just fucking such an unreal match at JCW a couple weeks ago, and Kaplan throughout the Go for Broke has been having some pretty good matches, memorable matches. I said, fuck it, like let's just throw him to the wolves and put him in there with Justice.
Well, and also, the Donst thing works out. He was actually, because everything was a mystery and a surprise, and like you were talking about, how can we get even some of these mid-card, so to speak, like the pops that our fans will really enjoy and appreciate. He's a name that we had talked about previously putting on the show. It's just everything gets so loaded, and then it's like, oh, maybe we can save that for later at some point.
Right, and it was like I wanted to only do 8 a night. You know what I mean? So it's just like, right. What can I move around? And he just kind of got left on the cutting room floor a little bit, and then circle back show day. That's just how it goes. So Tim Donst, for the people that were excited he was there, he initially was not on the lineup, and he kind of bailed us out the morning of Thursday.
But it was a very cool, special moment. I will say that, because we hadn't seen Tim Donst in AIW since Absolution back in 2019. Of course, 2020 we're gone for a year. So for the very first match, for it to be Manders and then out comes Donst, it was really cool, because for a long time he was very synonymous with AIW, and so it just felt like we were home.
And I went back and forth, like, should he come out first? Because the first show back, I thought that would really set it off, but no, nobody was gonna care about Manders. You know what I mean? If he came out after Donst, and that's no disrespect to Manders, but also, like, I didn't know if Manders was the right guy for the first, for everyone to see for the first time in 14 months in Cleveland either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I thought that Donst's reaction was going to be pretty good, because whether the local crowd loved him or hated him, they were all familiar with them. Mm-hmm. So I went back and forth, and I finally decided to, put Don Stout second, so it wouldn't ruin any reaction from Anders, if that makes sense.
Yeah, people were still, those were the fans. People were excited to still see Manders. He came out. It's cool. It's there. And so then it becomes, okay, who does Manders wrestle tonight? And then out is going to come down. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I get your thinking. I don't know if there was a wrong or right way, or maybe both ways were right. But it worked out. It is all that really matters in the end.
Yeah, and I mean, it was what it was, but I'll talk about this though now. After I get Don situated, I had to go to work, obviously, for a little bit, and then Swoggle was landing at noon.
Oh, that's right.
And I'm trying to think of how this went. Well, I went and picked him up at the airport, and he goes, dude, I'm having problems. And I said, well, what are you talking about? And he's like, and I'm not trying to put all his stuff out there, but he was like, I gotta call a doctor. I don't know what's going on. And he starts making doctor's appointments, and I got to take him to an urgent care, and they ran some texts and did some x-rays, and he's waiting to hear back from his primary care. And then he decides, like, I'm feeling a little better, let's get a couple drinks, and then I'll be good to go. So he did the show, and then I get a text when the show is going on, like, hey, I'm heading to the ER. And I was like, what? And he went to the ER like right after intermission, and like was there until like 11 a.m. on Friday. So, that's why, he was initially supposed to wrestle on Friday as well. So like there was just like, it wasn't like there was one weird problem going on. It was just like full on, like, what the fuck is going on with this show? It started to feel cursed at certain times. Yeah,
it became quickly, it was a question of, would we get Wes Barkley versus Swoggle? And if we don't, what do we do instead? And, that becomes a whole thing. So yeah, there was a lot going on there. He pulled through for us on that. So that is why, some people saw the tweet that said Swoggle will be here Friday, but not participating. That's why. We'll get into that later on, maybe next week, of what we do instead.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna say what was going on or whatever, but like he was obviously a little nervous, so he was like, I gotta go get see a doctor and see what's going on. So thankfully, he decided that he trusted West enough to get through that match. But then when he's at the hospital all night long, which that also leads to me like, I'm not sleeping on Thursday night. I have to go into work on Friday morning as well. And I'm just like, he's supposed to be staying at my house. And so I'm waiting, like, do I got to come pick you up? Like, keep checking my phone. Like, does he have something serious wrong with him? Like,
yeah.
So it's just like, that's why I'm so tired today. Cause it's like, Wednesday I can't sleep because of the fucking Sabu thing. Thursday I can't sleep because, the Swoggle stuff that's going on. Friday, I can't sleep because you have the fucking high of the shows are over, Yeah. And then, you fucking start, like, that's when you start reading social media, is like Friday after the show, after the after party. So then I'm up till like 4 o'clock in the morning, like reading Twitter. And then, like, it's been, it was like so much was going on this week. And so out of practice from this, like this level of fatigue and like go.
Yeah. There were cool, positive, and high moments on this show too. We did get to see a tag team that actually we've been trying to bring over to AIW for some time now. Again, the pandemic really dictated a lot of why it did take this long. But the main event debuts against AIW's consummate professionals to Infinity and Beyond.
Yeah, and Duke Davis did our new talent initiative in February of 2020. Gannon Jones, his partner, didn't, but Duke did, and I had been talking to them, and these guys have a lot of people advocating for them to me over the last year. We tried to get them on both of the Indiana shows, and it just did not work out. These guys are also, they're family men. They have kids. They have, they have a lot going on. And I was happy to finally work it out with them, because I think there's a tremendous upside to those guys. They're probably not going to be around that long. They are probably the total package of what is being signed. They're just so fucking big and in shape, and they're very good in the ring. I thought that they were a great addition to the show, and to pumping a little bit of new blood into AIW that's not a student. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Which is something we've always tried to do. Is we have our students, but then you've always tried to kind of keep your pulse on what's going on. And it's like, hey, is there somebody that we could bring out and it's different, and it just shakes things up a little bit. And they were a great addition to putting on that show. Yeah,
they were extremely talented, and
yeah, they are.
I want it, and here's the thing, I know that maybe the streaming numbers would have really blown up if we advertised our card, but they could have also not blown up if we advertised our card. You know what I mean? The kind of my whole point of this night was not necessarily to get the biggest streaming number of all time. It was really to build equity with our live audience, because we only had 100 tickets available. I don't think people had that high of expectations for the talent, to be honest, so I really wanted to use the mystery show to kind of make sure that everybody was over. Like, the atmosphere for the mystery shows was unreal. And, we learned that when we did the Janela farewell, when he was the only advertised match and every other match was just a mystery. It engaged the live audience so much more than, if they knew what was going on, like Wes Barkley versus Swoggle is advertised. So, Swoggle comes out, so they're like, oh, Wes Barkley's coming out, so I'm going to get a beer, and grab my pizza, and then I'll be back by the time the match is starting. You know what I mean? Like, this way, like, everyone was fucking glued to their chairs, like, staring at the entranceway, having, the crowd was just so much more engaged in the live show, with it being a mystery lineup. And like I said, what I wanted to do, is build equity with our fan base to let them know, we are still, the same AIW. We're still, gonna try to put our best foot forward no matter what. We're still gonna spend the money on talent. We're still gonna, try to put together the best show that we possibly can. We're not gonna fucking phone it in, and kind of create this, you never know who's going to show up. You should never fucking think it's a fucking, not that great of a lineup or a show that you could skip. That was my plan for both of these shows, because that's my mentality. I try to put together a show, even the shows with super low budgets, like at the Winchester or something, we still try to put our best foot forward, and, don't just say, throw whatever out there and, say, who cares? You know what I mean? I wanted to use this as a infomercial, so to speak, that especially if you're within traveling distance to Cleveland, Ohio, that you should not miss an AIW show live.
Yeah, I think it was, overall, it was a great combination of showcasing our homegrown talent. You get to debut somebody like the main event, but then you also have some names to it. Like Swoggle is a name everybody obviously knows. Shane Douglas, a name everybody knows. It was a rewarding show to both the fans and our roster. Because we got as many people in terms of like homegrown and like true AIW roster. They're on almost every other show, or every show.
I would say
as
really,
possible on here.
I would say really the only two people were probably Tom Lawler, who could not do it because he had a fight, and Nick Gage, who could not do it because he said he couldn't find his ID, so he couldn't fly. Those were the only two that are regular kind of people. You know what I mean? So, and I just want to put this out there before I forget. If anybody ever has the opportunity to have a conversation with Shane Douglas, I highly recommend it. It's like a 10 out of 10 experience. Like, he's such an unreal guy to have in the locker room because he is so cool to everybody, and he just has such an incredible memory about everything, that's ever happened, in his career. And, he'll just talk to you, and like he was kind of sitting there just holding court all night with people, laughing and, telling old ECW stories. And, he is just such like an incredible guy to have in a locker room, especially one that's full of like young guys and girls, to get to kind of, sit around the learning tree and just like hear these old stories. And, I asked him like, about such a super random nothing Cleveland ECW house show in like 1998. And like, he goes on this fucking 30-minute story about that night to me and why they got kicked out of that venue and like all this other stuff that led to them having to move the ECW shows to the Agora. And, it's just like, that is like what it's all about. Like any promoter, like fucking, you should book Shane Douglas because he is down to do whatever. He's a great guy to have around. He's never any trouble. He just loves the professional wrestling business. And, he is just like, that was when I was sitting in the locker room before the show and, Shane Douglas and I are just sitting on couches and he's just telling me stories. Like, I was just like, fuck yeah, man, AIW's back. Like, this is great. And, we've booked Shane Douglas a handful of times over the years. Yeah. But he's always fucking incredible, to just have around. And, I just, before I forgot, I wanted to say that, like, if you ever have an opportunity to have any sort of conversation with Shane Douglas, you should.
Yeah, super, super nice guy, and always so grateful to be there, and that people, remember him. Like he does his promo at the end of that match and talks about how in November he will start his 40th year in professional wrestling, and just mentioning how grateful he is that people still remember him and that he even got the reaction, that he gets the reactions that he did get that day. And, again, I talk about this being rewarding for the fans and also the roster. Derek Dillinger, super special moment for him.
Yeah,
a picture with Shane Douglas from when he was a kid. That's his dad's favorite wrestler ever.
Well, so why I booked that match is Derek told me one time, like randomly, that the only photo his dad carries in his wallet of him is like a photo of Derek as a kid with Shane Douglas from some random like independent show or something like that. And Derek is like fucking like 9 years old or something. And, I think he posted the photo on his social media, Derek Dillinger, yeah. But that's why I did it. And it was a special moment for Derek. His dad came, and like watched it, and Shane took a picture with them, and they told him the story, and he loved it. And Derek said, him and his dad went out to dinner after the show, and his dad was just so excited, just telling the waitress, my son just wrestled my favorite wrestler, and like, and that is what, that's what it's all about. That's the crowd, had no idea what that was about, but, that was something, for Derek and his dad. And, it was also something that added to the show.
Yeah. I was walking through, to go do stuff during intermission there. And, I've met his dad a few times. And so I saw his dad and he stopped me and he was so excited, which was so cool. Derek's dad's super nice, man. I love that guy. He's great. And then, again, rewarding for the roster. People haven't seen a lot of the AIW roster as regularly as they would have liked, at least not working together. People try to get work, but some of it's not on this bigger stage, and it varies. But you have like a 4-way tag team match with Bulking Season, Bitcoin Boys, 40 Acres, and PME. And it's like, man, this is what the AIW school is about, right? Like, that's what that match is. And here you go. But it's also what AIW is, because old school AIW people remember the 6-way scrambles and 4-way tag matches are kind of like regular things on older AIW shows. And that was a cool match to me, because it was like this blend of classic AIW with these talents that we have curated over the last couple of years.
And, it's also like, let's give Derek that opportunity, to work with a veteran and learn something. And it's the same idea with bringing in the, Duke Davis and Gannon Jones, the main event. Let's put them in there with, AIW staples, like independent wrestling staples, Colin and Cheech, let's help them learn. There's just different opportunities to raise people's stock so that they can learn. And, even in a loss, they walk out of it so much better as a performer. And, you could still lose and gain respect from the fans. And, there's just, I don't know, like there's just so much going on to where, like, with this card, to where I was trying to figure out how everyone could put their best foot forward or walk out of it a better wrestler. Yeah.
Were you happy with that 4-way tag? Basically being the AIW Academy showcase of the past, I don't know, 4 or 5 years is really what that is.
Yeah, and scramble matches are something synonymous with AIW. I was thinking about this, like, I don't know if AIW invented scramble matches or not. Like, I was trying to think of that. Like, I don't know, like, because we were doing them in 2005. I'm sure they happened before that. Like, I was trying to think of like the origin of the scramble, because in 2005, like, a AIW flyer said like the Denny's fucking six-way scramble or something, like, because we were at Denny's and when we decided we were going to make a match with 6 people. I'm not taking credit for it, but I was just like, I had this random thought that, like, I wonder if like that terminology tracks back like that or not. But that's like a whole other thing going on in my brain this weekend.
Well, that one was, so the 6-way scramble was Friday. I mean, that's kind of what I was saying. Friday we do the 6-way scramble, but then this is the 4-way
scramble
tag
matches. Scramble matches in general are synonymous with AIW,
right?
And I just thought, well, let's do the tag, and it's going to get more people coming from the school on the show, and hopefully they can really put hit the highlight reel, so to speak. And I saw like David Bixenspan was just like, why is every person from the AIW school so good at scrambles? And it's just like, I don't know,
why wouldn't they be?
It's just how it goes, like a scramble match is like, honestly, like, that's like AIW developmental. It's just like, you go out there, you hit your highlights, you build your kind of respect with the fans, based on the things you can do, and then you eventually you can go on and have a regular tag or a regular match. But this one was really about getting more people on the show and really giving everybody a chance, because everybody obviously wanted to be on one of the nights. I tried hard to get as many people on both nights as possible. But yeah, I was extremely happy with it.
It's to me it provides an opportunity for people to, like you said, hit the highlight reel and then have the fans either remember how good these people are, like in terms of, let's say, PB and Trey, and even PME being in this match, right?
It gives like a very sink or swim, you know what I mean? Like, here you go, sink or swim.
They could do their thing, but then this match like also helped kind of make bulking season. Like, people were talking about them.
I mean, not after this one, but on Friday night, which, I mean, we're probably gonna have to get to it next week. We're already 50 minutes in. But, I walked up to Chuck Stone Friday night and I was like, fuck, Chuck, I think he could be fucking absolute champ by next weekend. Like, he really fucking stood out Thursday and Friday. And I mean, Arthur MacArthur as well, but Chuck Stone was really just on another level of motivation, and he was hitting cool stuff that he's never really hit before, and everything he did was just like, people were going nuts for Chuck Stone, and I was like, dude, Chuck, I think he could be fucking champ next week.
And the Bitcoin boys have continued to grow, and this was an opportunity for them to do it in front of the Bitcoin boys, and even the bulking season guys did their best to get work where they could during 2020 and try and stay fresh and try to keep growing.
And I'll say this, as stupid as it was, and I gotta give the Duke his fucking credit, you know what I mean? Like, as stupid as it was when Jocelyn Navarro hit Duke with that fucking 1998 China Attitude Era Raw as War low blow, and then started fucking him up, like, that made Jocelyn for Friday night. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
she was like, she got a huge pop Friday when she came out for her match, like, and I really attribute that to her fucking the Duke up on Thursday night, and that got arguably the biggest pop of Thursday night. And I know the Duke wants his fucking props, so there's your fucking props, Duke. Don't get used to it.
Also, let me say this about Jocelyn, since you brought her up. If you're listening to this on Monday or Tuesday, on this week's episode of Go for Broke, Jocelyn's debut at AIW on last Friday night was so much more than what people realize. And if you tune in,
you're going to learn about it on Go for Broke this week.
Exactly. It means so much more than just the fact that she debuted at AIW. That's all I really want to say about it, because I want it to come from her, in her words.
Right.
So, but please, watch that. And then, Bishop Mance Warner it was
everything it needs to be.
It's what it needs to be. It was awesome.
It's a main event, and that was just like the perfect comeback show. Main event made everybody feel like everything was back to normal.
It felt like a main event, yeah.
And that is, I know we didn't talk about every fucking detail of the show, but I was very happy with it. And also, I don't want to give away too much. If you haven't had a chance to watch it yet on VOD on IWTV, please watch it this week. I mean,
yeah,
we really want to get those VOD views up. Like we've said on this podcast before, they kind of, during COVID, kind of started implementing some incentive programs for the promotional partners. And we want to hit those tiers. We want to get into that bonus tier, so to speak. And the only way we do that is if you guys watch us on IWTV. And that kind of helps offset these things, like Sabu not getting on his flight, and all this other stuff. And it allows us to spend more money on talent. Like for June 18th, like, we can't even really probably cover the talent budget of the 4 people advertised You know what I mean? On 100 tickets. But we're obviously going to have to book a whole fucking show, you know? So that is where the fans supporting us in these alternate avenues, such as watching our stuff on IWTV and buying DVDs or MP4s, like that stuff, you know, that stuff all gets thrown into the pot, so to speak. And that kind of allows us to have more wiggle room to try these things. Like, listen, there was no way that I was going to not work a deal out with the Major Brothers who were coming in for Toy Hio on June 19th. Like, I borderline probably was annoying Ryan Myers because I was just like, what can we do to make this happen? You know? And we finally worked out a deal that late into the game Thursday morning. So, you know, we were going into Thursday with no future date. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We had nothing on the books. I was able to, you know, I told the Odeon a while, like, please hold this date in case we can get a deal with these guys. And we were finally able to work it out. Shout out to Jesse the Mark. He was able to whip up a flyer, and he's been going through all sorts of, you know, crazy health problems and issues over the last few weeks. You know, hopefully he's doing much better, but you know, he was still able to kind of whip that flyer together for us on short notice. And like, as soon as I got it, I just put it up in intermission on Friday, and tickets went on sale this morning on our Patreon only so far. So we'll see how that goes.
And I realize that it's a bit of a disservice to gloss over it as we wind things down, but, you know, a couple matches we didn't get into, and the details, but, you know, Lee Moriarty, Dominic Guarini, I mentioned that just because you talked about how Jocelyn's moment with the Duke helped make her pop. Then on Friday when she has her match, this is another one. This is a really good technical match. If that's your thing, if just wrestling is your thing, it's a great match to watch anyway. But Lee versus Dom is really good, and how good that match was also then goes into
Friday,
the excitement and the anticipation of Dom's match on Friday,
and who he's gonna wrestle, and, you know, like, it was
how is he gonna top that? Yeah,
I don't know. Like, with all the problems and everything, like, I really feel like these two nights are like two of my best, like, bodies of work, so to speak, in what I was able to put together with such limited resources, and, you know, just how everything went, you know, because all these matches could have, they all, for the most part, had, this could either be really good or this could be really bad, you know, and there was a lot of chances that were took for both nights, you know, and you know, it's always a risk when you're, you know, trying to build new people and, you know, build up people out of our school, and, you know, there's just so much that goes into it that can go wrong. But when it was all said and done, I really feel that Thursday and Friday were two of the best top to bottom AIW shows that we could have put together.
Well, there you go. And of course, obviously, check out another star-making performance for Ryan Kaplan here on that Thursday night with the aforementioned match he ends up having with Matthew Justice and Fonzie in the corner.
And that gets booked that Thursday morning. You know, that got booked Thursday morning.
Yep. So it ends up being an incredible show all around, and it was a great way to come back and say hello Cleveland, as the show is called. And so thank you so much for everyone that came, everybody that tuned in at home. Your feedback on social media.
Thanks to the Odeon, you know, there was a lot going on, so where, you know, they've had to cancel other events based on, you know, everything going on with the city, and they really advocated for us to still happen. And, you know, the whole team at the Odeon, it was really touch and go, I guess, there for a little bit, to where they thought that they were going to have to pull the plug on the show. You know, I guess the stuff, going on with the draft events throughout the city. There was a lot of pushback for other events being featured downtown, I guess. And they were forced to cancel other things that were going on that week and that were supposed to go on this week. So shout out to them. They really pushed for us to be able to do this, and shout out to the fans who really took to the restrictions and the protocols, and really just kind of did what needed to be done. I didn't hear a lot of people not in masks and people not abiding by all that stuff. I will say something that's come to my attention after the fact was a certain somebody who was very well known on Twitter for his just ridiculous tweets, I guess, was saying some racist things in the crowd, and that person is going to be asked to leave if he shows up on June 18th, because that's just something that we cannot tolerate. And I wish somebody would have said something at the show to myself or Pedro or Steve, or somebody, and we would have gotten him out of there immediately. And I'm not even going to say who it is and give him any attention. I think everybody should just, if you know who I'm talking about, everyone should just stop giving that guy attention to begin with and stop enabling his behavior, whether it's on social media or at the live shows. Because he's been a fucking handful for a long time. And this stuff is just, that's the last straw. You can't be saying racist things in the crowd. He also somehow found out that we were going to the Great Road Tavern, in which he continued. And it's unacceptable. You can't have it. And you can't, but we can't let one person ruin how great these two events were. That's all I'm really going to say about that.
Yeah. Our apologies to anybody that was impacted there or wasn't happy with it. By no means were we allowing it to happen or continue. We were completely unaware, because this wasn't something that he was shouting and being loud about. Just know that. That's all I'll say on that. And I don't know. Give us something good. I don't want to end it on that, John Thorne. My goodness. I will. Let me end on this.
I'll say this.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what you're going to end on, I'll end on this. Next week we can get into all sorts of Tommy Rich stuff, because there's so much amazing stuff to talk about with Tommy Rich. A fucking gem of a person, like exactly what I wanted. Because I wanted just a fucking old school fucking guy in the locker room, because in the late 90s and the early 2000s, those are the types of guys that were in. There were multiple of him in every locker room, and I wanted that for these AIW students to experience, and he was every bit of just everything I wanted and more. There's so much Tommy Rich stuff to talk about next week, and fucking hilarious. Like, I know it's going to be hilarious. That's what that's the cliffhanger I'll end on.
He ranks up there on the pantheon of guests. It's you couldn't help but think, man, Biggins would love this. Just would have loved it. I was just going to quickly mention it's not a happy or bright spot, but those who were in attendance know. Those who watch at home maybe did not know, but we did do a 10-bell salute prior to starting the show on Thursday for everybody that we've lost within the last year plus who weren't able to run shows. So including Shannon and Tracy Smothers and Danny Havoc and Tom Troll, Billy Johnson, both the big fans of AIW, even Shad Gaspard, who participated in AIW's Double Dare tournament. But so we did do that, and I just wanted to mention all of them again.
Yeah.
Real quick.
Yeah, that was kind of a weird thing. It was just like, let's do a 10 bell salute for Shannon, and now it's just like, well, we have to do 10 bell salute. We have to include this name, this name, this name, this name, and it was kind of like that was just like, man, like that was the not fun part. Also, there was a lot of not fun parts, specifically on Thursday.
Yeah, and it was. I will say, Donst dedicated his match to Shannon at the end there, and even he and I kind of had a brief back and forth. Before that, he had said, well, how about you just do it? The match is over, I win or whatever, and then you can say that I dedicated it. And I said, I really think that this means, because he did have a very special relationship with her. I mean, he used to ride it. Some people don't know, but Donst used to ride in with Gary and Shannon quite often to AIW. So they did have a very special relationship.
Not only ride in, like they would do
go
things
places and do things together. Yeah, like they had a very
houses
close
and stuff.
Yeah, very close friendship. So I felt like it needed to come. That needed to come from him, and that was, for obviously for a very different reason. That was a special moment again that happened there on Thursday night. But that's, we'll leave it there with all of that. We've left you guys with enough to digest. There's so much more to come as we talk about the weekend that was, and we'll talk about that next week. Please make sure you tune in to AIW's Go for Broke on Tuesdays, 10 p.m. on IWTV. If you have not subscribed to it, do it. Use the code ABSOLUTE. It's $10. And of course, you now get the on-demand replays of our two shows last week. So it's a deal for AIW alone, and there's a whole lot of more independent wrestling. No-brainer to me. But then that'll do it here for us. Next week we'll finish off talking about the weekend that was right here on AIW's The Card is Going to Change.